All right, good evening once again, everyone. I'm Alan Iden, and you have just been watching the first session of Winchester's Spring 2024 Town Meeting. So let's do a recap of what we have gone through this evening. We are also noticing that our town meetings are starting earlier and finishing earlier. I've seen many town meetings go after 11 o'clock. It is just after 10 now. We opened by remembering John Dooley, former firefighter here in town and very well-known member of the town who passed away a couple of weeks ago, and a moment of silence for Mr. Dooley. Preliminary motions were passed, which allow things including cable television coverage. And then we went on to Article 1, which is report of town boards, starting with the select board. We heard from Michelle Pryor, the chair, talked about the use of the ARPA funds, the capital needs of the town, support for the select board articles, and the volunteer opportunities in the town. Town manager Beth Rudolph mentioned that the Lynch School is on track for occupancy in September 2025. The Waterfield project downtown next to the train station is moving forward. She said the town has $19.3 million in free cash and has a AAA bond rating, which only 14 other communities in Massachusetts have that rating. She also showed some graphs of historical use of funds. Tom Hopcroft from the school committee said that the Lynch School is a sustainable model for a net zero energy building. The school committee is now focusing on Morocco School as the next project. Talked about education objectives and procedures, says that the town invests almost $18,000 per student, among the lowest, he said, in peer communities. And we have high-performing students, and he highlighted some of the system savings that the school committee has worked on. From the Board of Health, the Board of Health hired an environmental health inspector, talked about rodent control, new restaurant plan reviews, hazardous waste collection, and works with the Coalition for a Safer Community. We heard from the chair of the library trustees, thanked the support of the community, said that the library had 168,000 visitors last year, and commented on the items that are available for loan at the library. She says before you go to a website to find out what's free, check and see what's available to borrow from your public library. In 2023, the building was rewired for Wi-Fi, and the next project is for security cameras to be updated. From the FinCom, we heard the chair say that the budget is balanced without use of reserves. The need for override is not projected in the near future. Morocco will be a fiscal year 2030 debt exclusion article to get that school project underway. And said the town meeting should consider the effect on property taxes of the Community Preservation Act, which is coming up later in this town meeting, and stabilization funds needed for capital and building stabilization funds, and it's important to fund them to keep the operating costs down. From the EFPBC, the Education Facilities Planning and Building Committee, Chris Nixon said that the issues here at the high school were concrete deterioration because of the structure that was actually original to the 1970 construction and was not rebuilt in the most recent one. But the deterioration of the concrete was not beyond the initial findings, and they are confident those problems can be fairly readily mitigated. The gym floor is over 20 years old, and it was also not renovated. That's also scheduled for replacement. There's an article on that later on in town meeting. Again, Morocco School is next to be replaced on the master plan, but he did say the growth in enrollment in the school student population has slowed, and they are carefully studying trends to try and figure out what size school would need to be replaced in what size the new Morocco school would have to be. He said the Mass School Building Administration looks favorably on the town's plans. They also said there's rapid progress on the Lynch construction due to the mild weather, and that project came in $2 million under budget, which allowed for changes to make it a net zero energy structure. Colin Simpson from the Government Regulations report. They said that committee reports on all articles that affect codes and bylaws here in the town and will present a review of them to spring 2025 town meeting. Report from the Climate Action Committee, who advises the Select Board to reach climate action goals, said there's a roadmap on the website of their goals and their progress. The goal is to reduce carbon emissions in the town by 80% by 2050, which coincides with the state's goals. He also commented on Wind Power 100, the electricity purchase, cooperative purchase program, says that Wind Power 100 is 100% renewable energy, and if you go to that program, it'll cost you about 1 cent per kilowatt hour additional. And he said over 400 homes already use Wind Power 100. You can sign up for it on the town's website. And also there's a stretch energy code for new construction in town to be all electric. So after the recess, we got into Article 3, which was the report of the Planning Board. We heard from Kerry Layton, the new town planner, Taylor Herman, the new town planner, and also they said that we have a new Northeastern University co-op student also assisting in the planning office. They reviewed the ongoing plans, 56 units, including 56 units at the Waterfield site. Said it's a very sustainable building, and they hope to break ground on that next spring. The town does need a new housing plan. We have 10%, we need to reach 10% affordable housing, and to do that we need to add 40 affordable units per year to get the town back in what's called safe harbor, which can resist undesirable housing projects. When you're not in safe harbor, this will be overridden. The master plan has a vision of the town looking forward to 2030. They also felt that the North Main Street development should keep the look of the center business district. But the work was needed on the underlying zoning in the town. They will be studying the light industrial area around Holton Street, and they're looking for input from residents, especially residents who abut some of these zoning areas where zoning is being changed. And he said you could sign up. She said you could sign up for the Planning Board newsletter. And then we moved on to Article 4, which probably is making a lot of headlines around the state. This is for the MBTA overlay district that was created in 2021 that requires towns to set certain levels of housing zoning available within area surrounding train stations and for towns that are served by the MBTA, as we of course are. It's referred to as MOD, which is MBTA Overlay District. MOD 1 is Main Street from the Rotary to Skillings. MOD 2 is Lake Street. MOD 3 is one side of Lake Street, rather. MOD 3 is Main Street from Skillings to Swanton. And MOD 4 is east of MOD 3, so basically in the Parkview apartment area. MBT 3A is the law, and it says communities served by the MBTA must have zoning that allows 3 or more units per building by right. Now, in Winchester, that could mean 1,220 units within these 4 MOD districts. 710 of those must be located within a half mile of the train station. We currently have about 750 of those 1,220. These plans will encourage ground level commercial and historic sensitivity on historic buildings. 15 units per acre, zoning outside of the center business district. The select board is in favor. FinCom said they were unfavorable majority. They said the majority wanted to wait for a Supreme Judicial Court ruling on one of the towns. Milton, of course, has sued to overturn this, and they rejected the acceptance of this zoning. The Housing Partnership Board supports Dorothy Simboli, a town meeting member, feels that this law will make it more difficult to create affordable housing. Senator Jason Lewis spoke. As a town meeting member, he said zoning articles are among the most difficult at the legislature, but he strongly supported this measure and is needed. He said it's needed to support affordable housing needs. Tom Howley said the Council on Aging strongly supports this article. Another town meeting member said that the center business zoning already accomplishes this and preserves the commercial base, and the MOD expands that commercial base. And feeling that the commercial base of this town needs to be supported. The planner expects actually only about 200 to 300 more units will come from this zoning, and he said that he expects about half of those will be studio or one-bedroom apartments. In response to some of the questions about the impact on schools and the town's infrastructure. Well, apparently it was a very convincing argument because the majority vote was required in Article 4 to create this new MBTA zoning overlay district was passed by 129 to 31. And that wraps up town meeting for tonight. This is Monday night. Next town meeting will be Thursday night, and we will be covering it here live at Winchester High School. So for all of us on the WinCam team here, I'm Alan Iden. Have yourself a great night.